Okay, I'm going to pull up my feed here. Welcome everybody. Yes, I'm wearing my Steelers mask. There I am. Okay. I live behind enemy lines. I'm here in Cleveland, Ohio, and I'm a Steelers fan, so I got to rub it in a little bit. I don't normally wear a mask when I'm doing the show, but I had to start with my colors today. Rub it in a little bit. Get to do it twice a year usually. As my camera guy, the Browns fan, laughs. So, welcome everybody. Welcome to the T350 Show. Good to see some people popping in here, and we'll give the audience a few minutes to build. Hope everybody's doing well, staying safe, staying healthy. We went out Saturday. Well, three of us got together, and we went out and did some shooting Saturday. Blew up some pumpkins and some gourds and bowling balls and cans of tomato sauce. There's my wife calling me a loser. Another Browns fan. I made her sit. She had to sit and watch the whole game with me. But yeah, we blew up cans of beans and cans of tomato sauce, and we got some good GoPro footage of that. We're gonna make some slow motion videos. Detroit Lions, all right, Corey. I don't even know how the Lions are doing this year. I haven't heard anything. So we'll have some slow motion footage coming up, and we'll feed you some of that a little at a time. I'm interested to see what the slow mo is going to look like when our editing guy gets it edited down. Should be pretty cool. Especially that can of spaghetti sauce, the way that thing, I mean, it just exploded. That was pretty cool. And we shot a bowling ball, and bowling balls are tougher than I thought they were going to be. I heard about how these bowling balls explode, and I hit that bowling ball with a 350 Legend 180 grain soft point, and I mean, it took a good chunk out of it, but it far from exploded. But we'll be looking at some of that here real soon. We'll do some more as we go along, doing some more stuff. We're gonna find some TVs and computer monitors and different stuff and make some spectacular explosions when you shoot them. So let's see. Last week we talked about we did failure to extract or failure to eject, two different kind of things there, and talked about some of the failure modes and why those happen and how to fix them. So if you missed that show, check it out. It's going to be popping up on YouTube, on our YouTube channel, and you can also look down in the feed and you'll find it. So last week we did 10% off on our deal of the week. We did 10% off of our Cornerstone handguards, and this week we're going to do 10% off of our Foundation Series handguards. And this is the Cornerstone series. You'll see it's, this is a very commodity handguard, right? Very simple to manufacture. Not all the surfaces. There's some as extruded surfaces on this, and it's a very quick handguard to machine, and that's what makes it so cost effective. A little bit more work goes into this one. There's every surface on the outside is completely machined. Instead of threading into the aluminum, you have steel on steel clamping so that you don't strip anything out, and you've got anti-rotation ears here up under the Picatinny. So there's a few more features, and they typically run about $10 more per handguard for those added features. And this week you're going to get 10% off of this handguard. So this week this handguard will be the regular price just about of the Cornerstone. So go ahead and hop on BYOAR.com and get yourself a handguard. American-made quality at a price that you're not going to find very many places, if any. So this week, 2 weeks ago when we were talking about show suggestions, and we were talking about doing this failure to extract, or it was last week actually, David Kaminsky said we should do a show about Headspace and what is Headspace and how to check it. So I thought that would be a pretty decent show. I see a lot of people questioning, when should you check Headspace? Should you check Headspace? Yes, you should. Yeah, David, thank you. Yes, you should. Anytime you're building a new gun, or if you're purchasing a gun that you don't know, if you're buying an upper or a gun from a reputable manufacturer, they've tested it, they've fired it, they know it's good to go. Some guy cobbling them together in his garage, you're probably going to want to check that. And you buy a gun at a gun show, you get a gun from a friend, whatever it might be, you should check your headspace. Headspace is defined as the area between the face of the bolt and where the case seats in the chamber. So if you have too much headspace, you can get things that, you can get pressure blowing by, you can get case, which, especially if you're doing reloading and your cases get weak, it's not going to cause, too much headspace is not going to cause, or a headspace being out of spec isn't going to necessarily cause the explosion that sometimes happens. But what it does allow is, as that casing expands, if there's too much room for it to expand, the back part of the case separates from the case itself, that gas escapes, and suddenly you have an overpressure situation happening inside here where it's not supposed to be happening. And that's where you see some of these upper receivers where they're blown out, the bolt is maybe blown apart. Hopefully you don't get hurt in that process, but that's why we wear safety glasses and hearing protection and all that good stuff when we shoot. But and if there's too much head, if it's too long, the headspace is too long, then the bolt may not go completely into battery. It may not completely close, and then you're going to get failure to fires and stuff like that. So, one way is not so dangerous, but the other way can be dangerous, allowing that case to separate and give you that overgassing in the chamber, high pressure in the chamber, outside of the chamber, that can cause catastrophic failures. So, when you're checking headspace, you're going to, these are about, depending on where you buy them, $50 to $80, and depending on what brand name you buy. Forester, Climber, I recommend buying a brand name. These things are doing a job, and they need to be extremely accurate. One's marked Go. Okay, you got your 223 Remington 5.56 NATO minimum or Go gauge, and then you've got your 5.56 NATO max. Okay, so they're basically go and no-go gauges. These things are precision ground to within 1.5 tenths of 1/1000th of an inch. So if you're not a machinist, you probably don't really understand what that means, what those numbers mean. So let me put it to you in something that you can understand. The human hair, the hair on your head, is about 3 to 4 thousandths thick. So if you split a human hair 3 times or 4 times, you get 1/1000th. Then if you split that 10 more times, you get 1/10. So when I say these things are ground to within 1.5 tenths of 1/1000th, you're talking about splitting the human hair 30 to 40 times and taking one of those splits and measuring it. That's how precise these things are ground. Okay, extremely precision ground. You want to be careful with them. You don't want to bang them around. You don't want to let them roll off the table and bounce off the floor. They're precision instruments, and you should treat them as such. That's why I keep them in my little plastic sleeves when I'm not using them. Okay, keep them protected. And $50, $60, $70, $80 sitting right there. You don't want to be doing that all the time, right? So, how do you check headspace? So there's two ways if you're doing a fresh build, okay? And I'm going to go ahead and take this gun apart so I can get the bolt out of it and disassemble it, show you how that should happen. Okay. So again, you know, we talked about this last week, how to take this, or 2 weeks ago when we did our cleaning show, about how to take this bolt apart. So there's a key right here, little cotter key type thing. You pull that out, set that off to the side. You don't want to lose that. Then your firing pin falls out. Now you turn your key 90 degrees. Pull it out, you take that out, your bolt's out. Okay? Set your bolt carrier off to the side. So you remember last week I showed you this broken extractor, right? And I was going to show you how to replace a broken extractor. This is how easy it is to pull out an extractor. This thing is spring loaded in the back, right? So even if you're at the range, if you have an extra extractor with you, you just push on the back side of that, take your firing pin, push the pin out the other side, grab a hold of it, and your extractor comes off that easily. Now you put your fresh extractor, you put a new extractor back on, you pinch it back down, you insert your pin. That's simple to replace a broken extractor at the range. Okay? Very simple, very easy to do. So, you know, it's about a $12, $15 item. Throw one in your range bag, and that way you have it. If you break one at the range, it's easy to fix. Okay? So now you got the extractor out. You want to get the ejector out next. So having the proper tool to do that, because you have to compress the ejector down into the body and knock the pin out. That's where we use our bench vise. Okay. You'll see there's a spot right here. Brownells makes one that's a little different. It drops in, does the same thing. There's a bunch of different versions of this. This is the Real Avid, okay? Your bolt drops in there, and then there's a pin right there, okay? I know it's a little hard to see, but there's a pin, okay? And you take your pin out, slowly release the tension. You're going to pull your ejector pin out, and then pull the spring out. Okay? Your bolt's disassembled. Okay, so you got your brand new barrel and you got your disassembled bolt. Your disassembled brand new bolt. This is assuming you're doing a fresh, complete, brand new build. And I got parts flying everywhere. That could have been dangerous. Okay. Right. First thing I'm going to do is take my go gauge and I'm going to drop it in there just like I would drop a bullet in. Now, when I stick this disassembled bolt in the back side, it should spin relatively freely. I should be able to push it forward in there and it spins. That tells me that these teeth are clearing the chamber and I've got the proper amount of space for that to happen. So by taking the gauge out, replacing it with the no-go, now you can see I cannot spin that. Okay, it's keeping the bolt back far enough away from the face that it's not clearing the teeth and it's not allowing me to spin that bolt. So that is a properly head-spaced bolt and barrel. You can assemble this gun and you have every reasonable expectation that it's going to shoot just fine. Okay, so let's say you've already bought the gun and it's already assembled and you're not sure about the headspace. You bought it from a buddy, you bought it from a pawn shop, you bought it from a gun show, who knows what, and you want to check the headspace, but you don't necessarily want to take the barrel and everything, the whole gun completely apart. So I'm going to show you how to check that. Okay, this is the gun I just took all that out of, right? I took that bolt out of here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my go gauge again, and I'm going to drop that in that chamber. I want to make sure, make sure you're clean. Clean your gun first. You don't want a bunch of carbon and stuff in here is going to give you a bad reading. Okay, so you want to make sure that that's clean. Now, I kind of want to, what I got to do is reassemble this bolt, but without putting all the components that I took off of the bolt back into the bolt. So I'm going to real quickly reassemble this. Okay, just like so. Then, with the go gauge in place, I'm going to put my bolt back in the gun and close it. And you'll see that the bolt is completely flush with the back side of the receiver. Okay, right? That's what it should look like with the go gauge. Now we're going to put our no-go gauge in. And I'm going to put my bolt back in. And you will see that that bolt does not seat flush. It sticks up about 3/16 of an inch. Okay? You can't force it down. That's the no-go gauge. So there again, you have a properly head-spaced bolt and barrel. Okay, done with the gauges. Set this out of my way, and I'm going to take my bolt back apart now and begin the reassembly process. Okay, so the first thing I got to do is get my ejector back in. So I'm going to stick that spring back in the hole. And you'll see, I know it's probably a little hard to see on the camera here, but there's a notch in that pin. Okay? Okay, that notch goes in with the short end first. And you want to kind of line it up so that that notch is the clearance through your drift pin hole. Okay, you're going to stick that back in your fixture. And if you look through, you can kind of hold this up and you can see all of a sudden it clears, the hole opens up. And we take one of our starter punch. Okay. Might have got it in a little too far. That'll happen. And I just dropped my pin. There it is. Yep, I got it. Okay, so we'll knock it back out a little bit. And we'll try it again. Okay. Now you want to check and make sure that it's not bound up on you and that you got good spring action, right? Which we do. We're good to go there. And we're going to put our extractor back on. And missing a pin. It probably rolled off the table on me. So we'll steal one. I'll find it here in a minute. Okay, so like I showed you before, put that back on, squeeze the back side, insert the pin, making sure it's fully seated. So when you're looking, this would be the front of the gun, right? Your bolt is facing, this is the front of the gun. You want that extractor over here on the right hand side. So that something's not allowing it to seat. What did I? Is my pin nut in all the way? It's possible. There we go. Okay. Let me stick our key back in, rotate it, pull it forward, insert our firing pin, rekey that. Okay. And that's it. That's how you check Headspace. It's really simple to do, and it's can save you a lot of headaches and a lot of trouble down the road. So buy yourself a set of gauges, Foresters, Climbers, you know, something that's a good brand name, and you won't go wrong. And always check your Headspace. And you know, it doesn't hurt to, you know, you put a couple thousand rounds through a gun, things wear. You know, pop the gauges in, check your Headspace. It's real simple to do. You know, you saw me do it here. It takes 10 minutes to disassemble your bolt and check it out. And then, you know, if it's time to replace a bolt, you can try to get a new bolt head. Make sure you check, if you check your Headspace after with the new bolt head and it's still out, well, then unfortunately it's time to buy a barrel. You've shot out your barrel. But it should take thousands of rounds for that to happen. So that's it. That's all I got for Headspace. It's a pretty quick thing. Thanks again to David for suggesting that topic, and appreciate anytime you guys have a topic or a show you want us to talk about. Just hit us up, man. We're glad to see it. We've been doing some features every week. We've been featuring a guy. Someone posts a gun, and we like the looks of it, and we do a build of the week. So, put your pictures up there, and we might hit you up for a build of the week. The new one will probably go up, I think, either tomorrow or Thursday. So look for that. And let's see, next week's show we're going to talk. So we're going to go back to our failure modes and how to fix those. So we talked about failure to extract or failure to eject last week. This week coming up, we're going to talk about failure to feed. That's when you don't get a round coming in. The next round doesn't want to load into the chamber properly. You keep jamming. Something's happening that you're not getting proper feed. Feed ramps maybe need polished, bad magazine. There's a host of things that can make that happen, and we're going to talk about some of those and walk you through how to troubleshoot that on the fly. So look for us next week. Don't forget about the deal this week, 10% off all of our Foundation Series handguards, 7-inch, 10-inch, 13-inch, 15-inch, nice quality American-made stuff. So I think that's all I got for this week. Appreciate you guys joining me. We will see you next week, same time, same place. And remember, you don't have to be an expert to build your own AR to maintain it or upgrade it. We're here to help you do that. Thank you.